Welcome to Riteworship, Church Publishing's online bulletin builder for Episcopal congregations. Riteworship is quite simply the easiest way to create a service leaflet for worship in your congregation. Using a web browser, you have access to your entire library of service leaflets from any internet-connected computer. We strongly recommend Firefox as the most compatible browser. This introductory video is intended to get you started using Riteworship and to demonstrate some of its basic features. Riteworship comes with a series of pre-made service leaflets, including those for the Eucharist, Rite 1 and 2, templates for marriage, baptism, burial, and confirmation, and even the daily office. All default services conform to the text of the Book of Common Prayer, but every part of the service is customizable for use in your particular congregation. So let's get started using Riteworship and see how easy it is to plan a service. After logging in with the email address and password that you set up when you subscribe to Riteworship, you'll be presented with Riteworship's dashboard. The dashboard is where you'll find a list of all the services that you've planned using Riteworship. If this is your first time using the product, you'll likely find this empty. You can access the dashboard at any time by clicking on the link on the left-hand side. Also available is a My Bulletins section that you can use to search through all of your services by type, by date, etc., and a My Templates feature, which we'll get to a little bit later. To begin using the Riteworship product, you'll need to use the Build Bulletin section. Under Date, click on the calendar icon and select the date that you'd like to plan a service for. In this case, we're going to choose November 27th, which is the first Sunday of Advent. Go ahead and select from the service categories which service you'd like to plan. In this case, we're going to choose the Eucharist, and under Services, we'll select Eucharist Rite 2. Under the Feasts menu, you can see that it is indeed the first Sunday of Advent. And then click the Build button. Once you click Build, you'll be presented with a list of liturgical options that are available for the service you're planning. In this case, we're going to choose just a general entrance rites, and we'd like to use the confession. Click Build, and the next thing you'll be asked is to select the Eucharistic prayer you'd like to use. In this case, we're going to choose Eucharistic Prayer A, and then click Build. Riteworship will then begin building your document and open you up into Riteworship's editor, which will allow you to see all of the liturgical options available for your service. Now, in this case, we essentially have a complete service leaflet here. It's selected the proper readings for the first Sunday of Advent from the RCL lectionary. It's selected the collect of the day, and as we selected earlier, it has chosen the proper Eucharistic prayer. It has also gone ahead and made some recommendations on hymns for use during the service that are appropriate to the day or to the season. Now, we could leave it as is, we could save our document, and we could go ahead and download it if we wanted to. But of course, all of the power in Riteworship lies in the ability to customize anything that you'd like. Anything from headings, to rubrics, to the music that you've made, and even additional options for things like the opening acclamation, etc. You'll notice that every component has an edit or a delete button on the right-hand side. Whenever you select any of them, they get highlighted. Let's look at changing a heading. In this case, we've got entrance rites. We're going to click the Edit button over on the right-hand side. In my congregation, we tend to use a clever heading. We call it The Gathering of God's People. Click Apply, and the heading has changed. You can do the same with rubrics. You can even do the same in those places where a heading has already been chosen by default. Here we've got our opening hymn. It's chosen Sleeper's Wake, which is certainly suitable for Advent 1. But I think I want something a little different. When clicking on the Edit button, the hymn selector will come up, and I can select this hymns link here. What it will give me is a list of all the hymns that the system thinks are appropriate for Advent. I'm going to choose hymn number 57 because it's one of my favorites. I'll select it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to see the music instead of just the words. That works for me. Here I'm going to add the title in my title. And here I'm going to change the reference that I'd like. I'm just going to say the hymnal number 57 and click Apply. You'll notice that it's taken all of my options and incorporated them into the bulletin. Now this piece of music will actually resize itself to the full width of the bulletin that I'm creating once I'm done, so don't worry if it looks a little bit small here. Let's see if there's another option I want. I'm going to check out the prayers of the people. The prayers of the people, it looks like it's selected Prayers of the People Form 1. I think I want a different one. So I'm going to go ahead and select Prayers of the People Form 3 and hit Select. Now here's the great part. When I scroll down, I'll notice that there's a text editor here that allows me to completely customize the text of the Prayers of the People. In fact, if I wanted to, I could insert a blank component here and edit my own Prayers of the People. But I'm going to stick with Prayers of the People Form 3. I think that works for what I need it for. And I'm going to click Apply. And when I'm done, you'll notice that the Prayers of the People Form 3 are in place. So there are a good number of options that are fully customizable here. And again, everything from rubrics to headings, confession of sin. Here's a penitential sentence. I don't think I want to use that. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click the delete button, select yes, and it goes away. And the invitation to confession is just the kind of thing I'm looking for right here. Make sure as you go along, you go up and you click Save and Continue so that you don't lose any of the work that you've already done. So I've made some customizations here. Here's another thing I like to do. I want to create a cover and I want to insert a piece of clip art that I think is going to be appropriate. I select the place beneath which I'd like my clip art to appear, and I click on the image button at the top. What that's going to do is present me with a little clip art library. Anytime I upload a piece of clip art into my library, it will remain here for me to use anytime I want. In this case, I want to add this piece of clip art for my cover. I'm going to select that I want it to be a medium-sized image, and I want to center it on the page. If I wanted to upload another piece of clip art, I could select here and click the Browse button and browse to the image that I want on my computer. Once I'm done, I click Upload, and it will also be added to my image library. But for the time being, this one looks pretty good. I think I'm going to use this. I click Apply, and it places the image where I want it in my bulletin. You can insert page breaks as you want, just by clicking the Page Break button. If you find you want to add an additional piece of music in your service, say for example, one of the more common ones would be at the communion hymn. I have a rather large congregation, so one communion hymn is not necessarily going to be enough. Again, I select communion hymn because just underneath that is where I want the second piece of music to go. I go to the music button and I click hymn. I'm just going to choose a generic hymn from the list of those that are available. Select. Now here I can search through Write Song. I can search by hymn number. So let me go ahead and do a search for hymn number 157. Well, there are several. Voices Found, Enriching Our Music, My Heart Sings Out. I think I want the one from My Heart Sings Out. Select. In this case, the music isn't available, so I'd have to point somebody to a hymnal. Let me go back and select something else instead. How about 157 right from the hymnal 1982? There we go. Click Apply. This isn't exactly a piece of music that would probably be appropriate for what I'm looking for, but you get the idea. I'll save and continue. Now at this point, once I've made all of the customizations to my service, I'm free to go ahead and download it. Or I can just preview. Preview will present me with a preview of the service, but it'll have a watermark on it, just so I can text and proof it and give it around to other people to take a look at. But when I'm done, I'm going to want to add it to my downloads. When you download a leaflet from Riteworship, it will download it for you in 3 formats. The first is a PDF, formatted as a booklet that you can put in a duplex copier and actually duplicate. The second version is a PDF, but is in standard 8.5 by 11 paper. And the third option is a Word document that I can import into my word processor and make any last-minute modifications that I'd like. Another wonderful feature for Riteworship is that when I'm done making these changes, I can save this bulletin as a template. Let me show you how that works. When you click on Save as Template, it's going to remember all of the options that you've chosen. I'm going to give this a particular name because I want this to be my template for Advent season this year so that I don't have to make any more customizations to things like service music, etc. Once I've saved that template then becomes available to me for the next service that I want to plan. Let's go to the second Sunday of Advent. I'll choose my service category, the Eucharist. Actually, I'm going to select my templates. Advent season. And here we'll go for the second Sunday of Advent. When I tell it to build, it will take all of the changes and customizations that I made to my initial bulletin, and it'll keep them all. That way I don't have to do the work that I do all over again next week. All the changes that I've made will be kept, and so all I'll really have to do is make sure that I go in and I select new hymns for that Sunday, and make any other particular changes that I want for the second Sunday of Advent. But all of the proper readings will be updated to the new proper readings, and we're good to go. So those are the essential functions of Riteworship Online. From customizing a heading, to adding clip art, to changing my rubrics and selecting the music of my choice, even in selecting different opening acclamations, all of that is available at the click of a button. It makes planning services very simple and printing out your leaflets for worship a breeze. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. For any more complicated features, we'll be releasing some more demonstration videos